kids, a salute to you and a salute to your carers too. I'm Wanda the Warrior and it's so wonderful to be back with you again this week where we're starting a new series all about King David and we'll have a very special guest. Don't look away.
Wanda the Warrior is brave and strong. She'll fight for God's justice and against the wrong. She'll be with you if the fight is long. She'll be there to save the day. She's the keeper of the peace, the help for those in need. She'll never abandon you. So let's be brave warriors too and see what good that we can do.
Welcome back, kids. So like I said, we're starting a new series this week looking at King David, and we're going to have a very special guest, Rebekah 𝗀𝗀, to come and tell us the story of how God first chose David to be a king. Hi, Rebekah.
Oh, thanks so much, Wanda. Guys, it's me! It's Rebekah. I am so pleased to be telling you the story today because I think this is just such an exciting story. Okay, so let's dive in. Who can remember what we learned about last week? Jules was telling us the story about King Saul and about how he disobeyed God and didn't do what God had told him to do. And in fact, instead of doing what God told him to do, he disobeyed and then he lied about it. He made up excuses, he lied, and he even said, no, it's what God would have wanted me to do. Well, he was not a good king because good kings should do what God wants them to do, not disobey him. And in the story today, we're going to learn about a man named David, who God chose as his king. Okay, what do you guys think is a good king? What do you think a good king would do? Why not pause the video and have a chat with whoever you're watching with and see what everyone thinks a good king would be like. Great. What did you guys come up with? I had a few ideas. I thought a king might be powerful, kind, maybe have a lot of money. I think a good king would care and would try and stop people not doing naughty or bad things. And today we're going to see what God thinks a good king is like, what he looks for in a king. And I think it's going to surprise you all. Okay, so we're looking at a story from the book of the Bible called 1 Samuel and in chapter 16. And 1 Samuel is a book in the Old Testament, so that's before Jesus was born. Okay, and whilst I tell you the story, I want you to stick on your listening ears and I want you to have a think about these 3 questions. My first question is, who does Samuel think should be God's chosen king? And why does Samuel think he should be the chosen king? And my third question is, who does God think, or who does God pick as his chosen king? So who does Samuel think should be king? Why does he think he should be king? And who does God pick as his king? Okay, so Saul, King Saul, was not a good king. He was not a king who obeyed God and did what God wanted him to do. And so God promised Samuel that he would choose a king that would have his spirit, that would have God's spirit, and he would do God's will, would do the things that God wanted him to do. And so Samuel was getting ready to find out who this new king was going to be. So God said to Samuel, go and see this man called Jesse. He has a lot of sons, and you'll meet the chosen king there. So Samuel went. He went to go and meet Jesse, and he met Jesse's sons, all of whom had got quite weird names. So the first son was called Eliab, but we're going to call him Eli, it's a bit easier to say. So Eli, he comes out, he's really big, he's strong. Can you do an impression of a strong man? Look, I'm really big and strong. And he comes out, and Samuel thinks, oh, look at that man. That is a strong, powerful, impressive man. He must be the new king. But God says, no, Samuel, that is not the new king. The person I'm looking for in a king is not impressive on the outside. I don't look at what's impressive on the outside. And so Eli was not the chosen king. So out comes the next son, and his name is Abinadab, but we'll call him Abi. Okay, so Abi comes out, and he's not the oldest, but he's still pretty strong. He's pretty impressive. Can you do an impression of like a little bit of a less impressive, but still pretty impressive man, like a bit smaller, but I'm impressive. So he comes out, and God says again, no, that's not the chosen king. And then the next son comes out, and his name is Shammah, but we'll call him Sham. And Shammah, again, impressive, not the oldest, not the best, but, you know, still really impressive. And God says, no, that is not the chosen king. And the next son comes out, and the next son comes out, and Samuel meets 7 of Jesse's sons, 7, but none of them were the chosen king. So Samuel says to Jesse, mate, have you got any more sons? Jesse says, well, yeah, there's David. David's in the field looking after the sheep. I mean, I can get him if you want. Because Jesse didn't think that David was that important or impressive. He didn't think he was good enough to meet Samuel. But Samuel asked to meet him, and David comes out, and God says, there is the chosen king, the one that I choose, the one that I'm going to give my spirit to, so he'll do my will. And then he does something a bit weird. He gets some oil and he anoints David. And that means he put the oil on David as a symbol of showing that he was God's chosen king. God's chosen king. And God's spirit came on David to help him do God's will, to help him know what God wanted and to do his will. And so David became the new king. Now, King Saul was still king at the same time, so it probably was a bit funny, but we'll learn about that more in other weeks. Now, I wonder if you can pause the video now and just think back to those 3 questions I asked you. So, who did Samuel think was going to be king? Why? And who did God think should be king? Fab. So even Samuel thought that the big, strong man, the impressive looking ones, should be king. But actually it was David, the son, who Samuel thought was so unimportant that he didn't even need to meet Samuel. He ended up being the one that God chose. Because God, he doesn't look at how strong we are or how powerful and impressive. He doesn't look at how clever we are. He doesn't look at how well we speak. But he looks to see what's on the inside. And if we are trusting Jesus, trusting God, then we can be used by God, which is excellent news. Now, all the way through the Bible, God has used people who look weak, but he has used them to show how powerful and great and loving he is. And do you know what the best example of that is? It's Jesus. Now, Jesus, he's the Son of God. So he's the best person, the most powerful person. But Jesus came to earth. He as a man, and he was born in a stable. Well, you wouldn't think a king would be born in a stable, surely. They should be born in a palace. But no, he was born in a stable. And then he became friends with fishermen. Fishermen, not the richest, most powerful people in the land, but fishermen. And then he died on a cross. He was killed even though he was God's chosen best king, the one that was going to rescue everyone. He died on a cross. See, Jesus looked weak. He didn't look super powerful. He didn't look super strong on the outside. But he came so that we can be friends with God. He came to rescue us from our sin. and to help us know God. And that is what God really wants. He wants us to know him and to love him. And he wants our friends to know him and love him. And he wants your family to know him and love him. Now, I wonder if any of you ever feel weak or scared or not good enough to tell people about God, or to do things for God, or to live as a Christian. Now, why don't you pause and with your family or whoever you're watching with, have a chat. Do you ever feel too weak to do things for God, to do God's work, like telling other people about him? Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Well, I think that I always feel really weak, and I might feel scared of telling people about Jesus because I feel like, oh no, what if they think I'm silly or stupid, or what if they ask me a question I don't know the answer to? And that's another great encouraging thing in this story, is that David, he was not impressive like his brothers were, but God, can you remember, God gave him his spirit, and that spirit meant that he was able to do God's will. And God has promised that when we place our trust in him, he'll give us his spirit. He'll give us his spirit to live in us so that we can be strong enough to talk to people about Jesus. And even when we feel scared or weak or a bit nervous or shy, his spirit will help us to say the right words. And his spirit, even when we say the wrong words, his spirit is powerful enough to help us to go back and, to love our friends and tell them about Jesus again. And so that is so good, because for me, it means that even when I feel too shy to do it, I know that God is with me. And even when I say the wrong words, I know that God is powerful enough to help me say the right words next time, or to help people understand even though what I say is not very well explained. Now, guys, I think we should all pray about this. We should pray about our friends, pray that they know and love Jesus, and pray that God, with the help of his spirit, will help us to tell our friends about Jesus. So I'm going to pray now, and then I'd like you to pause the video and pray for your friends. Okay. God, we thank you so much that you choose us, not because we are fantastic, not because we are strong or impressive, but you choose us and give us your spirit so that we can do your will, so that we can tell our friends about you and help people to know that you want them to be friends with you. And Lord, we thank you so much that even when we're shy or nervous or scared, or when we say the wrong words, that you are powerful enough to help us to talk about you. So please help us to be really brave and to tell our friends about you, and to tell them about how amazing it is to be friends with you. Amen. Great. So I'm going to leave you to pray with your family, and then you can go and do the activities and whatever else online. So have a great day, and I really hope to see you soon. Okay, bye.
Thanks so much, Rebekah. Isn't it wonderful, kids, to see how God uses us, weak people, to do wonderful things with his spirit and his power? It's been so wonderful to spend some time with you looking at the Bible today, and I hope that you have wonderful weeks. Please think about coming to the hangout starting on Thursday, and I hope that you will stay safe and know that we miss you very, very much. Bye.